How's it, brother Sam? This is Bronson, the Hawaiian anarchist.
Hi, Bronson. How are you?
Hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm good. I'm calling from Saigon, Vietnam. Hey, I was wondering if you would like to discuss Bernie Sanders' anti-science views on GMO labeling.
On GMO
and what more
labeling?
Sam can do to
I'm not. Hold on.
Progressive
I'm not terribly up on his.
He supports
view.
labeling.
Oh, he supports labeling. Well, I have no problem with labeling.
Yeah, he supports GMO labeling. Oh, but that's anti-science. Don't you think the progressive movement should stand for scientifically sound policies?
I do think that the progressive movement should stand for scientifically, but I don't understand how labeling is anti-science.
Well, is there any scientific reason to label GMOs? I mean, it's about as relevant as the sexual orientation of the person who handled the food.
Wait, what?
Sexual orientation of the potato?
Yeah, it's irrelevant, is what it is. I mean, it's about as relevant as race.
Definitionally, it's not irrelevant if people are interested in knowing. I mean, look, I can tell you, I would also like to put on there, what are the subsidies that we get in terms of like corn? Is what I would like to see put on there, because from a political standpoint, I think there's a lot of relevance about GMO. I don't think that people understand, what's happening in terms of patent domination. I don't think that people understand of what's happening in terms of the potential for the broader environmental problems that it causes. Yeah, I mean, I think there's
cause that. Is that what you think?
I do think that GMO, that when you create something like Roundup Ready, that it increases the use of pesticides that are problematic.
What's that got to do with golden rice or GE insulin or cheese or rainbow papayas or?
Well, as much as it's like your point about Bernie supporting labeling has to do with it. You're talking about apples and oranges.
Well, yeah. Well, what is the point of labeling? I mean, GE is just a breeding technique, one among several breeding techniques that scientists and farmers use in order to improve crops.
What are the other techniques?
To give you another example.
What are the other techniques, and tell me what the implications of them are.
Okay, so let's go with...
I mean, let me ask you this. Wait a sec, Bronson. Let me ask you this. Am I wrong in saying that Roundup Ready... of things like Roundup Ready corn, increase the use of an herbicide that is highly problematic? Do you deny that there are environmental implications about that, surrounding that?
Well, let me finish. First of all, Roundup is used in non-GE agriculture as well. While it's true that Roundup use has increased since the introduction of GMOs, overall pesticide use is down. At the same time, crop acreage has increased as well. So there's really no way to tell whether or not we're actually increasing
no environmental implications. Do you think that there's any implications in terms? You say that there's not. Do you think that there's any implications in the patent process around this? The idea of the idea that
that's not an argument against the science of GE. That's an argument against government.
I'm not making an argument against that. We're not talking about the science of GE. We're talking about labeling. We're talking about labeling.
Yeah, and that's
and in my mind, let me tell you my rationale for why we label. Because if people become aware of just how much you have a specific company owning this technology and owning our food supply, I think there's more likely to be political pushback on this ancillary question. And so in my mind, it's worth it for that. You want to make it about the science?
Okay, so you don't mind that some of your the food that you eat is made through the process of mutagenesis. which involves bombarding it with ionizing radiation and then soaking them in mutagenic chemicals, producing random mutations which are basically impossible to control for. This is completely unregulated, and many of
totally down with labeling for that too.
You want labeling for that too. Well, that would affect all the organic varieties as well.
Great.
They like to be labeled.
That's okay. You'd be fine with that. But specifically, why do we need to label GMOs like cheese?
I just
the
told
old way
you.
was to kill calves. I'm sorry.
I
what
just
does that have
told
to do
you.
with like cheese? Like when you said Monsanto, but Monsanto is not an argument against GE. Like Monsanto is not the only company that patents seeds. There's non-GMO patented seeds too. Are you aware of that?
I'm not, but you know what? I mean,
went
it's a
on,
political.
like,
This is a political issue for me. It's a political issue, okay? And I understand, but what are the implications supposedly now? What's wrong with labeling it?
Well, it's anti-science.
Why is it
it's
anti-science?
raising alarm and getting people afraid of
I pick up a
science
label right now. I read the ingredients. Is that anti-science? I look in there and I see cornstarch.
Well, yeah.
Well, why do you think we put labels on there? Why do you think ingredients are put on there? Wait, tell me, when I look at a piece of food, processed food, and the ingredients are there, what is problematic about that now? I don't know. It's, people want to have this argument about labels and they want to immediately shift it to something else. I want to know, is there an argument that corn syrup is fundamentally bad for you? I don't want to eat food with corn syrup in it. Is that anti-science? I mean, it depends, right? Because if we get rid of corn syrup and if we don't subsidize corn in this country, a lot of people who don't have access to unprocessed food are going to have to pay a lot more for food. You got to be willing to accept that argument too, right? That we should be removing all labels unless there's something fundamentally and scientifically wrong with cornstarch or corn syrup. It's labeling. It's labeling. I don't know why this needs to happen in the dark. I mean, the idea that 90% or 80% of our corn is owned by one company, that's a problem. And until there is a distinct movement to deal with patents, this is the way I'm going through it. And you know what? Someone also, you need to tell me how this is going to impact golden rice.
No one.
I want to know. You need to show me how this is going to hurt golden rice. Because there's this huge leap. If you label stuff and people think that GMO is bad because you label it, it hasn't worked with corn syrup, but it's magically going to happen in this case, then there'll be no golden rice. How does that happen? And I'm going to accept the premise, stipulate for this argument, golden rice is the savior of world poverty. I'm just stipulating it for the sake of argument.
I don't want to undercut you or myself here, but I think just in fairness, I guess the reason, according to them, golden rice would go away is because its feelings would be hurt.